What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. Manchester United back in action again. Premier League match day 2. We are up against Fulham at Craven Cottage, 4:30 p.m. kickoff tomorrow, Manager is Marco Silva. Now in terms of head-to-head for last season in the Premier League, we did manage to beat Fulham home and away. At home, Manchester United won 1-0 in August 2024. That was the first game of the season last season, and a goal scored by Joshua Zirkzee. And away from home, we managed to pick up all 3 points again in January 2025 when Lisandro Martinez scored for United and we won 1-0. So we did manage to pick up 6 points against Fulham last season. However, in March of last season, we did lose to Fulham in the FA Cup 5th round, 4-3 on penalties after drawing 1-1 in regulation time. So last season under Marco Silva, Fulham managed to finish 11th with 54 points in the league. They won 15, they drew 9, lost 14, and they scored 54 goals and they conceded 54 goals, and they finished with a goal difference of 0, of course. And so yeah, I think they had a pretty decent season last season. You know, they finishing in 11th, obviously finishing above United, who finished in 15th, I think. But yeah, in terms of some insights for the match, let's get into them now. So here are some insights for the match. Fulham have won just one of their last 19 Premier League games against Manchester United, drawing 3 and losing 15, beating them 2-1 at Old Trafford in February 2024. Manchester United have won each of their last 8 Premier League away games against Fulham. They've never won 9 in a row against an opponent in their league history, so hopefully we can write history tomorrow. Manchester United have won just 3 of their last 23 Premier League away games against London sides, drawing 5 and losing 15, though all 3 of these victories have come against Fulham. The last four Premier League meetings between Fulham and Manchester United have seen a winning goal scored in the 70th minute or later, with all 6 goals in games between the teams in the last 2 seasons coming in the second half. It was one of only 2 fixtures played 4 times across 2023-24 and 2024-25 without a first half goal, along with Everton versus West Ham. And finally, Fulham ended 2024-25 on a run of 3 consecutive home Premier League defeats, last losing more in a row when they lost their final 6 home games in 2020-21. Manager Marco Silva has never previously lost 4 consecutive league games in his entire managerial career. So there's some insights for you. So in terms of Fulham, they are coming away with a 1-1 draw against Brighton. They managed to pick up a point against Brighton when Rodrigo Muniz scored in the 7th minute of injury time at the end of the second half last week. So I think they were a little bit lucky to be coming away with a point. You know, they scored a late goal at the end of the second half. And in terms of XG again in that game, Brighton did beat Fulham on XG. Brighton had an XG of 1.48. Fulham had an XG of 0.76. So I think Fulham are pretty lucky to be coming away with a point against Brighton. In terms of some team news for Fulham, Anthony Robinson is out with an injury. So in terms of Fulham's starting 11, this is who I think Marco Silva is going to line up with. Is basically the same lineup that started against Brighton last week. So Leno in net, of course. Tete, Anderson, Kowenka and Bassi making up the 4 in defence. Berg and Lucic making up the 2 in midfield. Wilson, King, Iwobi making up the front 3 in behind Raul Jimenez. So in terms of how Fulham like to play, in terms of Fulham's tactics under Marco Silva are centred on an aggressive attacking style, often in a 4-2-3-1 formation, utilising fluid positional rotations, especially in wide areas and half spaces, to create overloads and open space for progressive passing. They build from the back, incorporate quick central combinations, and use a flexible defensive structure that often settles into a mid-block 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1 to press in midfield rather than the final third. So in possession, fluid formations, while typically starting in a 4-2-3-1, the formation is flexible, sometimes shifting to a 4-3-3 or even a 4-2-4. Positional play, Silva's approach incorporates principles of positional play, emphasizing controls possession and numerous triangular passing connections to break down defenses, wide overloads and rotations. Fullbacks, wingers and midfielders rotate to overload wide areas, drawing out defenders and opening space. Half-spaced underlaps. Central midfielders make underlapping runs into the half spaces, providing direct vertical options to connect midfield and attack. Quick central combinations. When attacking through the middle, the team uses quick third-man combinations to progress the ball and break down compact defensive blocks. So building from the back, Fulham builds play from the back safely, using their double pivot to provide cover and receive passes from centre-backs, which allows fullbacks to push higher. So in the final third, they also like to use overlaps. This involves wide plays, usually fullbacks, making forward runs to get around the winger, providing an extra attacking option on the flanks. By doing so, they create 2v1 situation with the winger against the opposition fullback, which could be used to beat the fullbacks and create crossing opportunities. Underlaps as well. When the winger receives the ball out wide, he will attract the opposition fullback. This opens the space between the fullback and the centre-back, which allows the number 8 to make underlapping runs into this space. The ball can be played to the underlapping player who can cross the ball into the box or attack his defender in a 1v1 situation. They also like to get many players into the box. The midfielders and wingers also always look to make runs into the box when the ball is in the final third, often getting 4 or 5 players into these areas to create overloads. The numerical advantages in the box increase the chances of connecting with the cross as more players present multiple targets for the crosser, making it harder for defenders to mark everyone effectively. So in terms of defending without possession, without the ball, one of their wingers will drop back to make a back 5. Defensive shape. Typically they defend in a structured mid to high block, maintaining zonal compactness to deny central space and force opponents wide. Defensive adaptability. Fulham can adapt its defensive shape. For example, like I mentioned before, a winger might drop back to create a temporary back 5, a temporary 5-3-2, balancing the numbers and closing down central spaces. When taking a breather or facing a bypass of their initial press, they can form a mid-block 4-4-2. Midfield engine. The midfield is crucial with versatile players like Lucic and Sanderberg as well, providing balance through passing and pressing and protecting the defense. Defensive rotations. Defenders also demonstrate rotational understanding with centre-backs covering the full-backs, pressing higher, and defensive midfielders covering the centre. So in terms of their star man, Fulham's star man, I'm going to have to go with Alex Iwobi. He scored 9 goals and provided 6 assists in the Premier League last season. He's very dangerous in and around the box. He can cut in onto his left foot, and he's not bad with his he can cut in onto his right foot and shoot and provide crosses as well, cutting inside. So he's dangerous, very dangerous winger, and we need to be looking out for him. Hopefully our left back Dogu can keep him quiet on that side. And yeah, that's Fulham's star man. Obviously a notable mention does go to Raul Jimenez as well, so we need to keep him quiet as well if we are to be getting anything from this game. So in terms of Manchester United, we are coming away with a 1-0 loss to Arsenal at Old Trafford last week, unfortunately. And in terms of the game against Arsenal, I think it was a big missed opportunity in my opinion. Arsenal were there for the taking, and a win would have been a very big statement for Manchester United to be putting out to the rest of the league. But in terms of our players on the pitch, I think Mbeumo and Cunha bought much needed quality in the final third. But I think we missed a focal point like Sesko. I think Sesko, Cunha and Mbeumo have to be starting all our games. Ahmad also bought a much more of an attacking threat, and he has to start as well. Bruno has made the double pivot position his own. He looked quite comfortable in that position. He did get beat defensively a couple of times, which is a little bit concerning, but hopefully his midfield partner can step up and provide cover. I think De Ligt pocketed Gyökeres as well. De Ligt had a monster performance pocketing Gyökeres, and Gyökeres was basically missing from the match. And so, it has to be said, we have to give flowers to De Ligt for providing such a good masterclass performance in terms of pocketing Gyökeres. And in my opinion, on another day, the referee judges that Saliba fouled Bayinde for the goal that Arsenal scored, for the goal that Calafiori headed into the back of the net. Personally, after looking at it again, I think, in my opinion, Bayinde has been fouled. And I think keepers need a little bit more protection from referees, especially from set pieces. And hopefully, we do get that protection, because I think that goalkeepers are targeted from set pieces. So hopefully they are given a little bit more protection. In my opinion, I think Saliba comes in front of Bayinde, stops Bayinde from jumping and gathering the ball. And I think that was mentioned on Match of the Day as well by Joe Hart as well. So yeah, in terms of the game, stats for the game, we dominated the game in terms of stats, possession and duels, and we deserved at least a draw against Arsenal. However, if we play like that for 37 more games, we will finish in the top 6 as well. So it's promising signs from our defeat against Arsenal. Unfortunately, we weren't able to, we weren't even able to get a point. But like I said, we did deserve a draw in my opinion. But yeah, it is what it is. But overall, I think there were promising signs for us. So in terms of Manchester United starting 11 for this match, this is my preferred 11, not my predicted. But in terms of injuries, for United, Martinez, Heaven and Mazraoui are still out with knocks. In terms of Manchester United, this is my preferred 11, not my predicted. I'm not sure how Ruben Amorim is going to line up. Personally, this is how I would line up United. Bayinde and net, of course. I think Onana is still out, or he lacks match fitness. I think Bayinde, I think his distribution was pretty decent against Arsenal. I think he was possibly a couple of his long balls could have been better, but apart from that, I think his distribution was decent. Euro, Delay and Shaw making up the back three. I was really impressed with that back three against Arsenal. I think they played out of Arsenal's press really well and got us moving up the pitch quite effectively as well. Midfield four of Ahmad, Casemiro, Bruno and Dogu. I'm bringing in Amad for Dalot simply for that attacking threat. I'm expecting Manchester United to dominate the ball and kind of take the game to Fulham, because Fulham are a weaker side than United. Then, of course, Cunha and Mbuma making up the two inside 10 positions. Then, of course, I'm starting Sesko up front. I think Sesko has to start, in my opinion, because we lacked a focal point against Arsenal. And, you need a centre-forward to occupy the centre-backs and get on the end of things. And too often than not, we were getting into some really decent, really dangerous positions against Arsenal on the wings. Dogu was getting into some particularly dangerous positions. So was Dalot as well before he was taken off for Ahmad. And then Ahmad was getting into some dangerous positions as well. But we were lacking that focal point against Arsenal. So hopefully Sesko can come in, lead the line and occupy the Fulham centre-backs as well. And hopefully grab a couple of goals. So in terms of Man United star man, I'm going to have to say it's Bruno Fernandes again. I think he got 8 goals and 10 assists in the Premier League last season, something like that. But we rely on him the most. He creates the most chances for us. And yeah, so how do you beat Fulham? So in my opinion, control the midfield and dictate tempo. Fulham under Marco Silva thrive when they can build through the middle and create wide overloads. United need to dominate central areas with Casemiro and Bruno, ensuring Fulham's creative pivots can't dictate play. Exploit space behind Fulham's fullbacks. So Fulham's attacking structure pushes their fullbacks high, leaving space behind. So United's pacey forwards, the likes of Cunha and Mbeumo and Sesko, should target these channels and for direct balls in transition. Use a flexible pressing strategy. Fulham are comfortable playing out from the back and can be forced into errors under well-timed pressing structures. United should press aggressively on triggers, poor touches, back passes, slow switches, but drop back into a compact mid-block when Fulham sustain possession. Control transitions and limit counterattacks. Fulham are dangerous when breaking through the likes of Iwobi and Wilson, and United can't allow easy turnovers as well. Quick counter pressing after losing the ball and disciplined positioning from the fullbacks will be crucial to stop Fulham exploiting open spaces. And finally, lean on Fernandes and set piece opportunities. Away games often hinge on small margins, and Bruno Fernandes' creativity can unlock Fulham's compact low block while United should also target set pieces, Fulham remain vulnerable when defending crosses and second balls as well. So in short, stay compact. You know, when Fulham have the ball, lure them forward and hit them with speed in behind. Hit them with speed into wide spaces in behind as well. So yeah, that's how you beat Fulham. I think it's going to be a tough game, but like I said, I think we need to be coming away with all 3 points. Otherwise, the pressure on Ruben Amorim is going to be quite high, because you've spent a lot in the summer. You've been backed by the board. You've got a couple of signings as well. You've got an entirely new front line. There is no excuses, to be not picking up 3 points against Fulham. So in my prediction, I am going for a 3-0 Manchester United win. Hopefully we come away with the win. I'm going with Sesko to score 2. Hopefully he scores because he is in my fantasy Premier League team. And then I'm going for Sesko to score 2 and then Mbumo to score the other one. So yeah, 3-0 Man United win. Hopefully we come away with all 3 points. Don't care who scores, but it is what it is. Anyway, if you enjoyed this preview, leave a like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you after the match.